Okay, we're here in Santa Monica at Homie's home, and Homie is how old? About a 9-year-old Dachshund. And basically, the guardian said he acts a little bit aggressive around other people, and I think it's actually not so much aggression. I think it's what we call resource guarding. I'm going to demonstrate with my foot. Now, if you have a dog that resource guards, you should not do this. I'm a professional, so I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Well, I want to reach in, but basically what he was biting at my foot earlier. Of course, I say on TV, you don't ever want to work with children or animals. So basically, I'm going to come over here to kind of get him to go back so we can have him on camera. There we go. All right, so that's actually pretty good because he didn't actually guard. But usually when a dog does resource guarding, it will stand over its object and its head is oriented down like, have you seen that sort of behavior? Okay. So that, and what they're saying is, I don't want you getting close to my stuff. Now, it's very natural for dogs in the wild to guard their resources. We would guard our resources if we're in a tribal, if we're back in that time period where somebody was going to steal my chickens. If I see somebody hanging out near my chickens, I'm going to make them leave because I need those chickens for survival. Dogs, this is not considered actually aggressive behavior, even though it looks very aggressive, because once the object is gone, the dog stops guarding. Now, dogs can guard multiple things. They can guard an object, like he has a bully stick right now. They can also guard things like food or a bone. They can also guard locations as well as people. And the problem with this is, again, or the reason for the guarding is, like I said, they think you're going to take their person or their location or the object. So for resource guarding, what we want to do is teach the dog that when a human approaches you, matter of fact, they're not here to take your stuff, they're going to make your situation better. So what you want to do is you want to find the distance the dog starts to feel like it needs to guard. And you can test this by watching the dog. If the dog freezes or starts to move away like he did, then he's telling me like about 3 foot is as close as you can get me without me feeling threatened. Now, the more that I take objects away from the dog, the more that I'm going to reinforce that resource guarding issue. So what I want him to understand is when a human approaches you, they're not going to take your stuff. Matter of fact, they're going to make your situation better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be outside of whatever the zone is that he needs to feel comfortable. I'm going to approach, and he told me 4 feet is where he's, and so I'm going to stop, I'm going to toss a treat, and then I'm going to walk away. And we'll let him go back to eating his bone. Now, when you're doing this, you would like to approach from all sorts of different angles. Because of the camera angle, and this is for demonstration purposes, I'm going to keep on going here. But the guardians, if they're doing this here, they would approach from that angle, from this angle, all these different angles. And again, if he's interested in the treats and stops doing it, we don't want to approach. We only want to trigger this when they're in the possession of a location, a person, or an object. So the fact that he's moving away, now if I go back over here, once they don't have the object anymore, usually, like I said, the resource guarding abates. Now, this would be better footage if he was going crazy, but we don't need to see it. I mean, I saw it enough off camera to recognize that it was resource guarding. So now I'm going to go ahead and approach from this angle, and then I walk away. So just like I was saying, I kind of made an analogy earlier. If somebody comes over to your, every time you go out to your car, they go, "Can I open your door for you?" And they open the door, they give you a $100 bill, and then they close your door, and that's it. You're like, yeah, you can open the door anytime you want for me. Well, for the dog, if you approach me, and when you approach me, the best treats I've ever had start falling from the sky, yeah, you can come around, and I get my stuff back, of course I'd be happy to do that. So now, you see, now he's much more interested in the treats, and I have really good treats, which is why. But when we're doing this, we want to be systematic. So you're going to approach from this angle, stop, toss a treat. Approach from a different angle, stop, toss a treat. And each time you're doing this, the first couple times he told me 3 feet was the distance that he wanted because that's when he froze. Usually that's your indicators. And if they lurch, you push too far. We don't want him to feel like the need to guard. So you have to find out what that distance is and start practicing it a little bit further away than that distance. But as you're doing this, very progressively, we want to get a little bit closer, until eventually we're just like holding the treat out and he's almost licking it off from our hand. Now be careful, like I said, especially if you have a bigger dog, because they will bite if they perceive that's going to be the case. So they need to do this multiple times over multiple days, getting gradually closer and closer until eventually you can reach over and he'll drop the object in your hand. Now, teaching a dog to drop is also something you probably should teach your dog to do. You don't want to do that with the object that the resource is guarding. These are bully sticks, which are really high value items. But if he has regular toys, he has a little, like maybe a stuffed carrot, and it's one of his toys that he likes playing with, but he doesn't think that I really want it. Well, that's a great time to teach a dog to drop. So if I'm the dog, and this is the dog's mouth, and basically I've got something in my mouth, so we'll just hold this. And I want to get the dog to drop this. The more I try to pull it away, it's going to exasperate sometimes the resource guarding, but also going to make it what we call a higher value item. So the dog doesn't want to take it. So what we want to do instead is we present a treat right in front of their nose and just hold it there, and we don't give any commands. And he'll try to open his mouth and take it with this object still in his mouth. Don't drop it. And as soon as he does drop it, pop the treat in his mouth. We'll see if I can get a little right here. Drop. Now there, it wasn't a good drop because he was holding the object like this. A drop needs to be, and then he drops it out of his mouth. Now you want to practice the drop with what we call low value items, toys that he's allowed to have at any point. And once you shape the behavior over and over with toys through positive reinforcement and offering him something, so he drops the item, I get this treat, and then I get the item back. Over and over and over again. The dog's like, they don't even want my stuff, so I don't need to guard it because they're not trying to take it in the first place. This resource guarding, like I said, is very frustrating. It can be very dangerous, but it is very easy to fix if you use this slow, methodical approach. So these are some tips and tricks that you can use to help any dog that resource guards.